The fashion industry is fast-paced and is constantly changing. One minute you can be the center of attention, and next minute you're not. We can also see how design aesthetics are always changing according to season, style, or trend. If you were a retailer, you may be wondering, how will I ever stay in business when everything is constantly changing? Well, don't worry. Today I will teach you how important it is to know your customer, because when knowing your customer, you're able to carry merchandise that your customer likes. It will help you have a successful business and grow stronger as the years go by. So first I'm going to talk about a little bit about a history of like retailing and just customers itself. So a little bit of production era, when the goal of companies was to increase production in order to keep up with demand. So that was the beginning when manufacturers first started. They really didn't know their consumer, and they were just wanted to get the most out of production and just to meet demand. As the sales era came around, business manufacturers and sold products without first determining consumers' wants and needs, convincing customers that they needed the product. They were just trying to sell their product without knowing still what the consumer wanted. As the marketing era came around, companies began to research consumers' preference, appeal to those preferences through advertisements. And that started like 1970 to 2000. An example of that is like Calvin Klein's media frenzy with sales, like the way they improved sales was like controversial advertisement. And that's like an example of like they use like sex appeal to sell their merchandise. And then consumer intimacy. Get to know and respond to their customer. Develop an individual knowledge of your customer. Create an environment in which consumers come first, and success is measured by customer response. So create an organization structure in which innovators and imaginations are renewed. Like a good example of this could be Anthropology. It's all based on the lifestyle brand. So if you guys ever go there, like it's all really, like the way they get inspired through the designs and stuff is based by the environment and stuff like that what they do. And it's very targeted to a specific customer and lifestyle brand. And then in consumer era is which consumers are able to provide product tailored to consumers' preference. And then knowing your target market is a well-defined customer group to which a business wants to sell. And then a different, like a niche market aims to appeal narrowly focused target customers. And an example of that would be like women within 40 to 60 years, fashionable plus-size clothing, and petite and plus-size. And an example of a plus-size clothing would be like Torrid, which they focus, is very niche market, and they're just focused to a certain customer. And then demographics. Our statistics about given population with respect to age, gender, material status, family size, income, spending habits, occupation, education, and religion. An example of that would be like the census, and it's broken down into zip codes. And if you're a retailer, you can actually go to a website and enter the zip code depending where do you want to have your business at. And it basically breaks it down in like according to the age, gender, and their likes and dislikes. And then another one is psychographics as well. It's the study of social and psychological factors that influence customers' lifestyle. This is more like based on activities, personalities, and attitudes. A lot of people get confused with psychographics and demographics, but they're not the same. They're two different ones. Demographic is mostly based on your age, material status, and more of the gender. And psychographics is more like your lifestyle, attitudes, and stuff. And then also, after that, you also need to know like your generation cohort groups. There's 4 different groups. The first one is matures, which they were born 1909 to 1945. They were like during the Great Depression, World War II, Cold War, and Great Civic Organization. And then after that would be the baby boomers, born during post-war expansion and presenting unexpected employment and education opportunities. And then based on those groups, you are able to target it to a specific market, whether it would be baby boomers or mature born, based on their life and what was going around like the World War II. And then another one would be Generation X, which there were 1965 to 1978. It was more political economic conditions, coming of age during a period business downsizing and like MTV and the AIDS of the epidemic, and that's why I have pictured like these kids right here because MTV had just started. And then the millennials and Generation Y, which are longest bull market in history. The first members of generation came of ages as new millennium began a new phase where tourism, a recession, and they're more schooled with technology, which you can see right now, like the Apple, Facebook, MySpace, and all that stuff. And then after you know which target market you want to target, you would have to either do a quantitative research or qualitative research. And also, both of these are not the same. Qualitative research involves objective methodology in which collective about a sample population and analyzes to generalize behavior patterns. And then a quantitative research is more subjective and it realizes a methodology such as observations and case studies. And then another market research tool would be environmental scanning, which involves interpretation of political, economic, social, demographic, and psychographic forces the effect of the consumer motivation to buy. So basically it means whatever's going around the environment, whether it's different trends that are going on or just anything that's affecting the environment as like fair trade, organic clothing and stuff like that. All those would be part of environmental scanning. And then a way to engage to the customer would be like video documentation. And a lot of ways that retailers do this is like they have cameras and you're able to observe and analyze like their shopping habits and just the way that they're shopping. Also, you can also do focus groups. It's carefully guided discussion between people. And then surveys, which is more common and people are more aware. So it involves system gathering of information from communicating with the person. So we're gonna have an activity of a survey, so if everyone can take out a piece of paper. So if you could just answer these questions, and I'll give you guys 2 to 3 minutes. So this would be an example of the demographic survey that you would give in order to have a potential target customer. With this, you would know what's their age, their gender, if they're married or not, what is their level of education, how much money are they making. Like that, you would know, okay, what am I gonna price my items? How much are they making? Are they gonna be able to spend $50 for a top, or do I have to charge $10 for a top? And then where they usually shop, it just gives you an idea who are your competitors, who do you have to look at, like different trends and things that they're doing and stuff that you're able to compete with them. And then another way that also you engage with the customer is style testing. It allows retailers and consumers or both to view early prototypes and offer their opinions. I don't know if you guys were familiar with the commercial where people would be test driving the cars and just trying to get them either between the Honda Civic and the Camry. So that would be an example of a style testing, trying to convince the consumer that their product is better than the other consumer. And then now that you know your target market and you know who you're going to target to, the different ways you can market to them, it could be like print advertisement. It allows the consumer to select advertisement, and it could either be in a newspaper or an internet and stuff like that. And this would be an example of a commercial, a newspaper ad you would see. Screen-based marketing is anything you see on TV, like any commercials, stereo commercials, and stuff like that. Product placement is like Coke from American Idol. It was a really popular one. Celebrity exposure as like when, for example, Lady Gaga wore Alexander McQueen's shoes, and like throughout her video, as well as like all the clothing she wore was by Alexander McQueen. And then word of mouth is just a typical amount of their generation, where we just tell other people and let them know like of the great product and the great service they have. And then cost and special event is another way. And one of the ways is this is a campaign for Bono's line. It's fair trade, and it also helps it helps like people from Africa, like with AIDS and stuff. And then a couple questions, but true or false. Knowing your consumer is important to have a successful business. True. Demographic is similar to psychographic. Niche markets appeal to focus groups. True. Sordid is an example of a niche market. Baby boomers are a cohort group. Quantitative and qualitative means the same thing. I would like to thank you all for attending my presentation on how to have a successful business. You must know your target market. I hope now you are all aware of your consumer, and whenever you have your business, you will always keep in mind the consumer is always right. As long as you always follow my steps on knowing your customer, you'll be able to have a successful business. Thank you. Is there any questions?